Blog Talk Radio. You're tuned in to in5d Radio, the next dimension of radio where we bring you the hottest, in-depth, spiritual, metaphysical, esoteric conversations and news with your hosts Greg Prescott and Heidi Cole. Get ready for spirit, body, and mind to expand in 3, 2, 1.
Namaste, everyone, and welcome to in5d Radio, coming to you from Sarasota, Florida, every Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, and 12 a.m. midnight in the UK. I'm your host, Greg Prescott from in5d.com, and for the next 2 hours, we're going to be raising the vibrations of the planet, galaxy, and universe. Tonight, our special guest will be you, as we'll be talking about the dark night of the soul. So if you're either going through it right now or have been through it already, call in and tell us about it. But first, I'd like to introduce my co-host, coming to you from New York City, singer, songwriter, stunt person, and author of the Subway Diaries, Heidi Cole. Hello, Heidi.
Hi, Greg. Can you hear me?
I hear you wonderfully.
Awesome.
This is the best Heidi has ever sounded.
This is headset number 2, yay.
Yeah, it sounds great. No more echo, so we're good to go.
Yes, cross our fingers here, yes.
Yeah, so Heidi, what you got for us in the news this week?
Oh, wow, busy day, busy week. Hard to choose, but in national and, in my case, local news, the NYPD in all its wisdom has announced this week that they intend to pump, quote, benign gas into the New York City subways this summer. According to the Gothamist, they have stated, in addition to all the other exotic fumes rolling around the subway, the NYPD will this summer release some nice, quote, harmless gases into several stations in order to test for risks posed by airborne contaminants, including chemical, biological, and radiological weapons. This is sounding really fun. Anyway, the airflow tests will be performed in partnership with the Energy Department's Brookhaven National Laboratory using perfluorocarbon tracer gases, or PFTs, which, though alarmingly named, are apparently benign, at least according to Wikipedia, who tells us the gases are regularly used to map oil reserves and, awesomely, to track ransom money following kidnappings. This is sounding really cool, New York City. Thanks, NYPD. That makes us New Yorkers feel so much safer. And finally, this little study is costing taxpayers a whopping $3.4 million, which should make New Yorkers feel all warm and fuzzy while they're buying food with food stamps and waiting on decades-long housing lists for a roof over their heads. And just to ease your mind, I've done a little research, and no worries. These sorts of tests have been conducted by the government for decades. In fact, on February 15th, 1966, the CIA/Army conducted what they called a study of the vulnerability of subway passengers in New York City to covert attack with biological agents. During this particular test, trillions of Bacillus subtilis variant Niger were released into the subway system during rush hours. The wind of passing trains spread the bacteria along the tracks, and in the time it took for 2 trains to pass, the bacteria were spread from 15th Street to 58th Street. It will never be known how many people later became ill from being unsuspecting guinea pigs, since the United States Army apparently exhibited not the slightest interest in answering this question. And in case you think this is all an issue confined to the Big Apple, think again. In the 1950s and 60s, such, quote, benign tests were carried out in San Francisco, Minneapolis, Chicago, and numerous other urban areas. So no worries, America. This stuff goes on all the time. Just sit back and relax. Everything will be fine. Anyway, as a busker here in the New York City subways, my 2 cents on the situation is, if you live here or are visiting the Big Apple as a tourist during the 3-day test they're planning on conducting this July, stay out of the New York City subways for the test days and at least a week after. But that's just what I'll be doing. In fact, I'd stay out of New York during that time completely if you can. And since we're chatting, Greg, tonight about dark nights and awakenings, and, I hear a little echo again. I'm not sure. Is that just me? Do I hear it? Or is no one else?
I don't hear it.
Great. Okay, then it's just me. I'd like to offer a small commentary on the subject of waking up and the pacing of this process. I've noticed many people ask, myself included, why aren't people waking up faster? Can't they see? Can't they see what's going on? Why don't they see the truth as we do? How can they still be asleep with all that's going on? Now, most of us who have been on this path for a while now know that if we were to be flooded with DNA upgrades, the total light energy ultimately available to us, and all knowledge of Akashic records all in one go, we would basically self-destruct due simply to not being appropriately prepared or not being vibrating at a high enough level to handle that kind of or amount of energy all at once. We've basically and essentially been in lockdown for thousands upon thousands of years, and such an intense and rapid influx of light energy would basically cause our human forms to self-destruct. And as I thought about this, I suspect the same might hold true for our dear planet Earth, as she has also been essentially held hostage and abused for hundreds and thousands of years. And to dump 5D, 6D, 7D, or higher vibrational energies all at once onto her through a rapid human ascension process, we humans would most likely create geographic upheavals that would essentially stop this grand experiment and everything in its path. We are intrinsically connected to the earth, and our energies, our vibrations, and our intentions all have a profound effect on her. She lives parallel to how we live. We and she are essentially dancing a dance of ascension here. I feel we as humans are being paced to keep the dance going so we all have the best possible chance to actually make this work. I know we're all eager and at times impatient to get this show on the road, but as we look around and see ourselves condemning others for not being as awake and wondering how on earth they can still be asleep and not see what's really going on, remember, pacing. It's important for us, and it's important for Gaia. It's important for us all to be paced in this transition. Finally, I feel strongly as I look around me and feel what's going on daily that we are getting tremendous help with this pacing of the ascension from our ET, energetic, and galactic partners. I feel instinctively that there's a method and a flow to this awakening, and we are not the only ones directing this show. Gaia, she takes care of us, and we take care of her. And this has never been more true than during this awakening. And I feel as frustrating as it feels at times, the pacing is allowing us the best possible chance at success. So have patience with your fellow humans. Thank them for their very important role they have agreed to play in this grand adventure. And know that their pace is an integral part to the ultimate success in the Grand Awakening. Namaste. So Greg, what do you have for news from this busy April week?
Oh, we got some stuff going on, but first I'd like to remind our callers, if you're either going through the dark night of the soul or have been through it, call in and tell us about it. Our call-in number is 646-716-8890. Well, first of all, I would like to apologize ahead of time because I recently had some oral surgery done on the roof of my mouth, and it's like learning how to talk all over again. I've always had this baby tooth in the right-hand side canine where that should be. It's right above it. And the canine is your fang tooth. Well, this tooth decided it was finally going to move, and it started poking out through the roof of my mouth. So last week I made a controversial post on Facebook, and one of my friends stood up for me on this post. And I have nearly 15,000 friends between my personal and in5d Facebook pages. So I clicked on his name and noticed that he's a dentist and an oral surgeon. So I asked him about this situation. Apparently, he has a practice in Moon Township, Pennsylvania, along with practices in Bonita Springs and Marco Island, Florida. He told me to stop in and he would take a non-invasive x-ray of my situation. And when he looked at these 3D images, he noticed there was a cyst growing behind the adult tooth on the roof of my mouth. So we made arrangements to have the adult tooth and the cyst removed the following day. Now, this doctor's name is Dr. Joseph Goth, G-O-T-H. And that evening I met with Dr. Goth and his wife Jennifer, and we had an amazing metaphysical chat that evening. Dr. Goth is one of those rare physicians who get it spiritually, and his wife Jennifer is heavily into the metaphysical field as well. So the following day, Dr. Goth removed my adult tooth along with the cyst and did a bone graft on the roof of my mouth. And these stitches aren't going to come out until next week, so it's like learning how to talk all over again. Anyway, I highly recommend Dr. Goth if you live anywhere near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, or by Bonita Springs or Marco Island. So the weather is warming up for everyone in the northern hemisphere, so that means going out to the lake or the ocean and doing a little barbecuing. I posted an article last week or so on the dangers of suntan lotion, where studies have revealed 3 main ingredients that are found in 80% of all suntan lotions that actually may be causing cancer. The one that's most common is called retinol palmitate, which is a synthetic vitamin A. If you buy any sunblock this summer, you should stick to either holistic products, such as ones made by Jason, Jason, or Alba, or any Neutrogena product. As far as barbecuing goes, many people will have corn on the cob at their barbecue. I recently posted an article on in5d.com entitled, "Study Finds Monsanto's GM Corn Nutritionally Dead and Highly Toxic," in which results found that not only is corn on the cob toxic to your body, but it has significantly less nutrients. For example, organic corn has 437 times more calcium, 56 times more magnesium, 16 times more potassium, and 7 times more manganese. Similar to the fluoride in our water, you may not be able to taste or smell the difference, but it's in there. Now, the important thing to remember is that the Bt toxin is not on the husks, but it's built into the corn itself, so no amount of rinsing or washing your corn will remove this poison. According to the UK publication, The Grocery, scientists found that rats exposed to even the smallest amounts of GM corn developed mammary tumors and severe liver and kidney damage. So what we're going to see in the near future is an exponential rise in kidney failure, and because of the Monsanto Protection Act that Obama signed into law, Monsanto cannot be held accountable for any illnesses associated with GMOs. On a side note, GMO food is not served in Monsanto's own cafeteria, so what does that tell you? You can find a link to this article below the video. Many of us have already seen Stephen Greer's Disclosure Project video, where many high-ranking military officials gave complete disclosure of their knowledge about how we are not alone in this universe. Today was day 1 of the citizens' hearing on disclosure, where 40 international researchers and military officials will continue to disclose information about how our galactic neighbors have been visiting for many, many years. While many other countries have already disclosed previously confidential UFO information, the United States government continues to suppress this from the American people. And on a side note, there is a one-time charge of $3.80 to view these testimonies live on the internet, and I'll leave a link to that below this video. Now, during the 2007 presidential debates, Ohio Representative Dennis Kucinich was asked about his UFO experience.
Congressman Kucinich, I want to move to a different area because this is a serious question. The godmother of your daughter, Shirley MacLaine, writes in her new book that you sighted a UFO over her home in Washington State, that you found the encounter extremely moving, that it was a triangular craft, silent and hovering, that you felt a connection to your heart and heard directions in your mind. Now, did you see a UFO?
I did, and the rest of the account, it was unidentified flying object, okay? It's like, it's unidentified. I saw something. Now, to answer your question, I'm moving and I'm also going to move my campaign office to Roswell, New Mexico, and another one in Exeter, New Hampshire, okay? And also you have to keep in mind that Jimmy Carter saw a UFO, and also that more people in this country have seen UFOs and I think approve of George Bush's presidency.
Actually,
and so wait, we're just getting started here.
No. I mean, we have about 14% of Americans say they have seen UFOs. I want to move.
What was the percentage?
14%.
What was that percentage?
14.
Thank you.
I want to see. I'm going to ask Senator Obama a question in the same line. The 3 astronauts of Apollo 11 who went to the moon back in 1969 all said that they believe there is life beyond Earth. Do you agree?
You know, I don't know, and I don't presume to know. What I know is there's life here on Earth.
It's interesting to note the laughter of the audience when Kucinich was asked about his UFO experience.
That you cited a UFO over her home in Washington State. Did you see a UFO?
I did, and the rest of the account...
The laughter psychologically implies that Kucinich is a tinfoil-wearing conspiracy theorist, while it minimalizes the possibility that UFOs exist. In 2011, after being hounded by numerous petitions, the Obama administration finally responded to questioning about UFO disclosure.
The question of whether or not extraterrestrials have visited our planet has now risen all the way to the White House. Seriously. President Obama is officially and now on the record in denial about UFOs and their alien pilots. So the White House on its website has a section called We the People, where citizens can petition the administration online and get a response if they pull together enough signatures. One recent petition at whitehouse.gov read, immediately disclose the government's knowledge of and communications with extraterrestrial beings. That one had more than 5,000 signatures. Another petition, this one with 12,000 signatories, reads, formally acknowledge an extraterrestrial presence engaging the human race. The White House responded. Phil Larson, with the Office of Science and Technology Policy, wrote in part, thank you for signing the petition asking the Obama administration to acknowledge an extraterrestrial presence here on Earth. The U.S. government has no evidence that any life exists outside our planet or that an extraterrestrial presence has contacted or engaged any member of the human race. In addition, there's no credible information to suggest that any evidence is being hidden from the public eye. However, that doesn't mean the subject of life outside our planet is not being discussed or explored.
When Jimmy Carter was president, he requested to see the UFO files. The head of the CIA at the time, George Herbert Walker Bush, told him that he was not able to do so. So if the CIA is above the president, then who really is running this country? It's important to remember that all it takes is just one single credible testimony to show us how we are not alone on this planet. Official disclosure would quickly mark the end of religion as well as the petrodollar. So the United States government has been holding back for as long as possible. Now, I have seen UFOs since I was a teenager, and last year I bought a 5x42 Yukon Ranger night vision monocular, which you can find on eBay right now for less than $400. And I'll tell you, you can't go more than 10 or 20 minutes without seeing a UFO. Now, there's a website on the internet that tells you if there's any satellites in the area, so you can rule out whether you saw a satellite or not. But when you see something expand in size and shrink again, and then do a 90-degree maneuver, you can be pretty sure that you're not looking at a satellite. According to a National Geographic survey, 36% of Americans, which is about 80 million people, believe that UFOs exist, and 1/10 of them have actually seen a UFO. And that number is growing every day. Well, we are certainly not alone, although it may feel like it when you're going through the dark night of the soul. Many of us have either gone through the dark night of the soul or are currently going through it right now. And tonight, we welcome all callers who have either been through or are going through the dark night of the soul. Also, for those of you who have been there, it would help a lot of people if you could tell us how you got through the dark night of the soul and what lessons you learned. And our call-in number is 716-8890. And I see we have a caller right now, Heidi.
Yeah, it looks like one or two. Absolutely. Is the 267 has been on hold for a bit?
Good.
Hello, 267.
Oh yeah, how you doing? I just
Andrew.
Hi, you recognize my voice? You're frequently.
Yes.
How you doing?
How are you, Andrew?
Good. Always calling in with something to expand people's consciousness. That's my job as a guest, I guess. So in regards to awakening, well, first of all, I'd like to pay tribute to someone who woke up a lot of people, Jim Tucker, the journalist who exposed Bill Burton for the evil that it was. Yeah, I was hoping you guys would mention that in the news, but since you didn't, I might as well point that out. That guy was a gentleman and a hero. I was at Bilderberg last June. It was a heck of an experience, I tell you. It was fun.
For you.
And,
awesome. Yeah, there was a lot going on this week in the news, so we're always happy to have the blanks filled in. Thank you.
Yes, and in regards to what people can do to wake themselves up, I think maybe listening to fear-mongering can be a great way to wake you up. I mean, I know a lot of people don't like to listen to people like Alex Jones because they perceive them as fear-mongers, but personally, I don't look at it that way. I think that listening to people like that can really wake you up about what's going on. I mean, if you can put up with that, then you can put up with anything. So, I mean, listening to fear-mongers like Alex Jones might not be such a bad way to wake up. Don't you agree?
Well, I agree to an extent, but, what Alex doesn't do is show the spiritual side of awakening.
I know. Yeah, that's not really his job. He more focuses on news stories that you can prove. But the point I'm trying to make is if you listen to someone who really gets in your face, that comes across as fearmonger, even though he's not trying to scare people, you can put up with that. It'll greatly expand your consciousness because you'll get to be able to tolerate fear a lot more often. And speaking of tolerating fear more often, I've learned how to control my emotions ever since I found out that the reptilians feed off of my fear energy, and simply knowing that has enabled me to control my emotions so I don't feed them. Call me crazy if you want, but it works for me, and if everybody was able to do that, the reptilians wouldn't stand a chance.
Oh, I think that's very powerful, and it's a sort of strange concept for people who don't know most of the words in the sentence you just said, reptilians, and they feed off your fear. But once you do learn a little history, a little background, it's a very powerful tool. I agree. Once you realize, sometimes it's in the middle of a fear episode, or sometimes it's after. I don't know if you found that, but it's to stop yourself for a minute and realize, it is someone's meal. That it is a very powerful tool. I agree.
Yes, and I mean, people have laughed at me when I've said that, thinking that knowing reptilians feed off of my fear enables me to control my emotions. But when I say that, I hope that other people will believe that and be able to control their emotions too. But the problem is many people find that whole thing too crazy to believe, and that's another factor. Things for some people are too crazy to believe, and that's why some people just won't accept the truth. It's quite unfortunate, isn't it?
Do you find it gets easier too the more you put into practice at realizing that your emotions, negative emotions, are someone's lunch? Does it get easier and easier as you go on?
Yeah, it actually does.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it does.
And I'm not really afraid of much of anything.
Right. I know. It sort of exponentially gets more. You gain your own power back exponentially the more you practice it.
Well, also, it's like I mentioned just about every week, and what I mentioned on in5d News is that all news leads to a greater awakening. It's really exposing those who are keeping us controlled through tyranny and oppression.
Yeah.
And I do think people like Alex Jones do have their place in this process. He doesn't usually offer many solutions, and he isn't spiritual in his broadcasts necessarily. I don't know about his personal life, but it's sort of a three-pronged, event here, and I think the feeding of information, if this is how it gets to some people and this is how they can hear it, then there is a purpose. If it doesn't make them shrink back into their shells and go drink a beer, it has its purpose. So I agree to some extent that whether you want to call it fear-mongering or just being gung-ho on exposing truth. He has his place. I do think, though, it's a responsibility once you know what's going on with Alex Jones, David Icke, all those people who are working very hard to throw back the veil, that you figure out a way of how to make a difference and a change and make this whole thing work with that information in hand and make your life make sense again. And I think that's a big part that oftentimes the people don't address, and it can leave you really flung out into space. So,
a lot of people will say that like David Icke or Alex Jones are disinfo agents too, and AJ might be, who knows? I really don't feel in my heart that David Icke is. He just shoots from the heart, and everything he does is always in the best interest of humanity. And the thing I really appreciate about David Icke is that he always finishes on a very positive spiritual note. So what you got to do is just like anything else, everyone, just use your own discernment. And there's stuff that AJ puts out there that is the truth, like on fluoride and the geo-engineering of our skies. There's so many good things that he is putting out there, and just put your own spiritual twist to it. What do you think, Andrew?
Oh, yeah, it's definitely true. And the world would be a lot easier if everyone was empirical. Some people are paradigmatic, and some people are wishful thinkers who will not believe anything that makes them fearful. And if people were just 100% empirical, it would be a lot easier to expose evil and expose darkness.
Agreed. Andrew, thank you so much for calling in. We love hearing from you. This is awesome.
You're welcome.
I hope. Yeah, and I hope you'll hang on while we get some more input from other callers.
Yeah, I think Andrew should have his own show.
Absolutely, Andrew.
It'd be great.
Yeah.
Well, I did actually make a 15-minute video for Alex Jones's Operation Paul Revere contest, and I did actually cite in my video. I watch a lot of in5d videos, so I did give you credit there. So hopefully that.
Oh man, thank you.
You're very welcome. And I'll post a link to that in the chat room.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Okay.
Hey, Andrew. Yay.
You're welcome.
Okay. Thank you so much.
All right, brother. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Take care, Andrew.
All right.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Shall we go to 718?
Actually, Dale.
Oh, Dale. Yeah. Let me see. Dale. Dale, are you there? Oh, I see.
There you
Dale?
go. Hi, Dale.
Hello.
Hi.
Is Dale there?
Hello.
Maybe Dale's.
Well, I don't know.
We'll go back to Dale.
Yeah, we'll put you on hold. In the meanwhile, we have a call from 718. 718, you're live on in5d radio. Are you there? What's your name?
Yes, I am here.
Hi, what's your
it's
name?
Joey. It's Joey. I'm in the chat room.
Hi, Joey.
Hi, Joey.
It's my first time calling in to this show, and I have to say I'm pretty impressed with it.
Thank you.
And it's just so ironic because I am studying nocturnal mysteries and shadow magic, and at this current time, and I find that if you don't embrace and have a balance between your shadow self and your physical self, it just consumes you. You have to have a balance between that.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you mean by your shadow self? Can you go
Shadow
into a little
self
more?
is basically like your dark emotions, your emotions that, you keep down, and if you don't work with them, like through shadow magic, it basically can explode. And that's a trigger point for a lot of different events. But if you work with your shadow self and you're able to release the toxicity of energy and bring a balance in a much more lighter self.
Mm-hmm.
And
so have you gone through the dark night of the soul yourself, Joey?
I have almost made it to that point. I actually projected myself into the underworld, a couple times, just to see what that was like. And it's, you know, it's not the happiest place, but it's not the darkest place either. And people come with the misconception that darkness is evil. Darkness is not evil, it's just a shade of light. It's how you project your own darkness.
I agree.
And, you know, so that's what I wanted to say. And it does sound a little sinister, but, you know.
You've probably read Journeys Out of the Body by Robert Monroe.
No, I actually been reading a lot of Raven DeChatelius's books.
I'm not familiar with that.
He wrote a book called Shadow Magic. It's a great book. I actually picked that up. He's also the author of Gothcraft, which he exposes that the pagan and goth culture is coming together more and more so. And, you know, he reamps that goth's not evil, darkness is not evil. It's just the media poisons us so much with what these toxic images that I can't even watch the news anymore.
Oh, no. Well, you know, actually, I've gotten to that point myself where I can see the news and then see through it, what they're trying to do, what their angle is, and then see the bright side of it, how this bullshit, like I was mentioning on the news, how they have the Monsanto Protection Act, and now they're discovering that all these toxins are in the BT corn because of the BT toxin, and you know, you see through everything and you understand what's going on, and you know that it's going to lead to a greater awakening.
I do that with commercials, especially pharmaceutical ones. They're really hysterical, actually.
Yeah.
They're just like they're like Saturday Night Live at this point when you see them for what they are rather than.
It's interesting you met that. I used to work at NBC for a little bit. I was one of my jobs. Yeah, I was a mailroom clerk for NBC.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So there's probably like a dark cloud over everybody's head there from having to put up with all the bullshit.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Right, they probably have bloody, yeah.
It's definitely, and it's just so ironic because they have the Radio City Hall, which inhabits a few spirits in it. So my philosophy is when the spirits get bored of the Rockettes, they just go over to NBC and wreak havoc. I've had a lot of paranormal experiences in NBC.
Really?
Yeah, I've had, one day the safety bell didn't go off when the door was closing.
I believe in New York City there's so many spirits in this city.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I've actually, a friend of mine who actually does a paranormal group, actually says that Staten Island is the most haunted city in the United States. So, and it's also unpopulated by Catholics and witches, actually. So,
Staten Island?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's 1/4 Catholic and 1/4 pagan. So,
whenever I go over there, it feels very vacant and deserted to me, no matter when I go, which is really strange.
You just got to know the right places. You know, there's two major witchcraft shops on Staten Island now. So.
Oh my goodness! I have some work cut out for me. I have to go exploring.
Yeah. I'm actually, you know, they're good friends of mine. Actually, one is marketed Practical Magic, and he was taught under Lori Cavis.
Oh, it's so interesting, all the history here.
Yeah, so, you know, we have great setted minds here, you know. We got a lot of...
Crowley apparently lived up the Hudson speaking of dark, and Aleister Crowley apparently lived on an island up on the Hudson, which I wanted to go see. And it's on a ley line, apparently, as well, like a really powerful ley line, this particular small island that he lived on, which is also fascinating to me.
I don't know too much. Like, I've heard about it, and it's definitely scary enough, you know, but I've been through scarier on my investigations of the paranormal life. I've definitely gone scarier. I've invited, I actually investigated the Chrysler Mansion, which at one point was taken over by the mafia. And one of my investigators, good friend of mine, actually got thrown out of a meat locker and recorded on tape. So, you know, so it's a lot of crazy stuff happening in Staten Island, but it's cool. So,
yeah. Well, Joey, we thank you for calling in and sharing your adventures there.
Yeah, thank you, brother.
No problem.
Really awesome. Yeah, and we hope to hear from you again. And thanks for, we love having first-time callers. It's brilliant. And I hope to hear from you. We hope to hear from you again.
Definitely.
Thank you.
All right. Take care now.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
So, Dale, we have Dale back.
Yes, we do.
Dale,
Can you
are
hear me
there?
now?
Yes,
hear me
we
now?
can. Sound great. Thanks, Dale. Thanks for calling
Thanks. Yeah, I had to go up here and do a audio check on my Skype settings here. So I got it working now. So,
Great.
Yes, Greg, man, I've talked to you. It's probably been a couple of years. It's probably been two, maybe 3 years. I did a video on YouTube called The New Earth, and you put it up on the website there for a while, and I was pretty impressed about that. And that was my first awakening back in November 5th of 2009, and wow. Whew, boys,
you know what? It's funny how I've talked to so many people who awoken in 2009, and when you do the numerology of that year, 2 + 0 + 0 + 9 is 11, and you go to the whole 11/11 thing.
Yeah, well, let me tell you what, you know the saying, be careful what you wish for, you just may get it. Well, I have been shown a lot of stuff in the last few years, and I have become aware and have had Murray returned, stuff that just absolutely has floored me. But I'm now in I haven't ascended because I'm still here, but there are levels of ascension, and I have transcended a lot of that dark soul energy. I have been made aware that the life prior to coming here, that yes, I was a starseed, but there was, and as you know, that time is a whole lot different outside of the realm of this third density Earth.
Yeah.
There's levels of time, and I transcended from the dark side of spirituality, and I was, I was a pretty bad character out there, working for the dark side. And then there was an agreement that came from Prime Source, and it really took place in this galaxy, and over half of the galaxies and the beings turned over forces. We went from the dark and started our descension into this third density flesh life, and we have lived multiple lives, but it's also been a teaching classroom atmosphere to get our training of how to balance and finding the neutrality of both, because we know instinctively we know how to use the power of dark. But now this whole new lease of life of living in the light has been all-inspiring, and I can't tell you just how profoundly different it is, and so much more fulfilling and so much more wholesome, and the immense amount of love has the four-letter word love is so inadequate.
It's everything.
That there is, it's so,
everything.
we are so limited with this English language, and we will be learning eventually when the bow breaks and all is known, and when we start meeting our galactic families. We are going to be trained and be brought up to speed with the galactic language, and we're going to have to learn that to be able to communicate properly with all races. So we've got some time yet. When once ascension and disclosure happens, yes, it's going to be all inspiring, and if you have your heart open for it, man, it's going to be such a wonderful evolution of humanity that we're in for the ride of our lives. There really is.
Indeed.
I love you touching on that love subject, because it's if when you've had an experience with the galactic love, which is so different than the Webster Dictionary version or TV version, it's a whole different animal and planet. You can recall it, actually, and walk around feeling that way. You can recall. I find you can harness it. You can, if it's happened to you once, you can recall it again and walk this planet with it. And I do that when I'm performing. In fact, I know all these love songs are written, and I sing them all the time in the subways. And I rarely sing about a person. People don't know that, but I sing from that feeling of that. The word thing is impossible. You can't put words to it. It's home. It's home.
It's more, there is a hum in the universe, and everything vibrates on a frequency, but it's not just tones, it's also the colors. So I've been just understanding how colors are associated with tones, and believe it or not, I stick to more solids. I wear colorful Hawaiian shirts now, because and the prints. So much of my life prior was wearing black T-shirts with skull and bones, fires, that whole stuff. Well, what we don't understand, or a lot of people don't understand, is that carries a vibration of lower density, and it keeps you trapped in a belief system and stuck in that. And when you start breaking out of that,
you know, and that's why David Icke he went through that blue phase, and that was, you know, the blue is the throat chakra. So you know, he was going through that whole phase where he was wearing all that light colored blue and everything. But you're right, every color does have a vibration to it.
Yeah, okay. I've been shown, geez, and some of the other things too. I've just recently here, I'll touch on some of the abilities. The clairessence, the clairaudio visual, all of that is peaking. But recently here, the last couple of weeks, it was about 10 o'clock in the morning. I looked out towards the eastern sky. Of course, you see, you know, the mid-morning sun and everything. And then I looked out towards the west, and I was looking at a night sky. And I'm like, okay, what's the meaning here? And I just started asking the questions internally, and it just come over on me that they're giving me a little bit more glimpses of the reality that we're going to start seeing. And I can equate it to the movies that I've seen. If you remember the movie Contact, when Jodie Foster had taken the trip, and she's on this foreign planet on a beach, and you see the horizon is blue, but as she looked up, she could see space in real-time motion. And, you know, remember the blackness of space that she was seeing, but she was seeing the galaxy spinning. And that is very much what we're going to have here when the Earth goes through this transformation. It's time, the linear time that we know it is going to cease, and it's going to be real-time space. There's going to be levels of the magnetism that's going to dissolve, because it'll no longer be needed to keep us in a third density. So we're going to start seeing and physically seeing the changes. I'm also seeing the changes of the seasons. Here a week ago, we were in all four seasons. There's a pear tree here in this backyard that was in fall bloom, while the rest of the trees, the pecan trees here in Texas, are blooming for the spring. And then it was snowing up in Chicago. I'm like, whoa, this is pretty wild. And then this week, I stepped out of the backyard and on the drive and was walking down the driveway and up into the front yard, and it felt like I was literally walking through a curtain, a temperature change, like a portal. Now, I can equate this to, when you're in the mall and you walk into a Sears or J.C. Penney's and they have that, that temperature flow of air that's running over the grate as you're walking into the store, and then, you feel the air conditioning. Mm-hmm. It was very much like that. And I'm like, righty, so I'm starting to see something. And I started asking the internal questions. What did I just experience? And Spirit says, where I'm living right now, there is a ley line that's very close. And it will move and flow with it rides. The energy flow of this ley lines are becoming more amped up as the energy is coming in from galactic center and from deep space. We're getting a lot of energies that are now amping up, and what I'm feeling is, and what I felt was a temperature change from the energetic flow that was being directed by the magnetic field of the Earth, and they're always flowing, and it's kind of like hair blowing in the breeze. These magnetic energies ribbons will kind of direct these ley lines, and what I walked through was a temperature change through the ley line as the energetic field was active. And it lasted for about, 2-3 minutes, and then it just drifted away. I'm like, yeah, okay, there's another one.
Did you notice recently there was a halo around the moon, but it wasn't your typical circle. It was an oval-shaped halo.
Yep.
And,
yes.
Of course, the mainstream media is going to write it off as, this is normal, and no, it's not. Come on now. Things are changing here.
What that is, what Spirit shared is that we are starting to slough off some of the third density here on the surface. Mm-hmm. We are we're going through it now. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be done in a very loving, gentle way for everybody, not to freak us out, but it's the people are starting to get it, and the 100th monkey effect is in full effect. It's working. When one person wakes up, that vibration will emanate out up to 100 miles, and it can literally affect a town and start waking the people up. So I think it was today on the citizen hearings in Washington, D.C., there are 60% of the world's population now believes that the UFOs are indeed real. So, just think what it was a couple of years ago. Uh-huh. So we're doing it. And all I got to say is, from my own personal experience in this level of understanding, myself and my own walk, that we are indeed in the throes of great days to come. This new golden age of enlightenment is indeed on its way, and it's working now. And it's just take heart and comfort that the pain and agony and all of this is soon going to be a thing of the past. It really is. Just keep focused on the positive. Yeah. I've been down that road of negative, and it's a dark road. And yes, everybody has a piece of the puzzle. Not one person, not even me, has all the answers. I have my mentors that I call and I talk to occasionally because, hey, we all get down, These energies aren't just all love and light and bubbly. Occasionally we go through cleansing. We go through some dark spots. I have my days of funk, Mm-hmm. But it's more just using the intentions and the abilities that we acquire and using them to move along our own personal ascension. I've learned how to unplug from a lot of these channelers because it just felt that, again, my intuitive skills were picking up on my skill of discernment. I just felt like I wasn't getting the whole truth. And, these star families out there, not all of them still, right now, are not in the benefit of seeing us. They don't want to see us ascend because they're going to lose their power. And
do you find that when you, excuse me, I had a question about when you were talking about your dips, you have your moments and whatever. Do you find that with each moment, you have, and that the other side of it, you're at a different level of this process, higher level than you were before. Like when you have a, or do you? I mean, I find that if I go through something kind of difficult, I find that because of the tools I've acquired and I'm continue to acquire, that each one brings me a little higher and a little lighter.
Yeah, and I call it, it's like detoxification, you know. The spirit has to kind of, you have to bring it up through the surface and pull it out of the inner sanctum of your soul and allow it to express itself. Sometimes it's highly emotional, but when you do get it out, understand, remember, come back to neutral. And what I mean by neutral is, think of it like this. You have a chessboard, and you have the chess pieces on the chessboard. Now, we all have been born into the world of indoctrination and belief systems and control, and we were presented as the sheep or the pieces on the chessboard. What I've learned how to do is remove myself as a piece and you're an observer. You know?
Okay.
So
yeah, we
that's how
lost you there for a second.
You cut out a little bit there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be internet issues. We got a storm coming through.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, listen, Dale, we got to move on to a couple more callers.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing that video on in5d, our in5d YouTube channel, and thank you for the enlightening conversation. Very positive and uplifting. Thank you.
Thank you so much for letting me share. And Heidi was it was the first time talking to you, Heidi, and I'm going to have to listen to more of you. So.
Oh, it's awesome to
so
hear
much.
from you, and I feel your guides and your spirits. I can feel their energy. It's awesome. I thank you for sharing everything.
You got it. Take care. God bless.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, so we have 850. Is that let's see. 850, are you there?
Oh, yes.
Hi, what's your name?
Alyssa. I live in Northwest Florida.
Hi, Alyssa. How are you?
Hey, a fellow Floridian. Yay.
Yeah, I'm originally from New Jersey, but I've been living in Florida for 7 years, so I love it here, finally. My comment is mostly for people who are still going through the dark night, like myself. I've kind of weaved in and out of it on and off for 10 years now. And you know, suffered with depression and addiction and all of that, and had my good months and years and then slipped back into it. But it's always been in the top of my heart, the spiritual knowledge. I'm not sure how to put it, but knowing exactly where I need to go, and what is right and what is not right. And I've been like this ever since I was a child. I've always questioned, you know, my Catholic grandmother and my other Pentecostal grandmother. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Good for you.
I've just known. And, yeah, thank you. And I've just known ever since I was little what was right. And even my children, they go to a private Christian school here, and they come home and they're like, Mommy, well, my 10-year-old when he was 4, did you know there's 3 gods? And I was like, what are you talking about? You know, and he just didn't understand the dogma that they were trying to teach him, you know, the Trinity and whatnot. But my whole thing was, one of your first callers, he was talking about listening to Alex Jones. And
Andrew, yeah.
That really did help me to kind of like kick my butt into the right direction, to say, okay, Alyssa, you know that what he's saying is right. You know in the bottom of your heart that these things are really going on and that there really is an agenda. Wake up. And that really kick-started at least our movement as a family, little by little, going organic, finally choosing to no longer vaccinate. We have 4 children. Our youngest one is 10 months. You might be able to hear her in the background.
Yeah.
And she's the only one that's never been vaccinated at all.
Awesome.
She's been breastfed the longest. My other children, as many regrets as I have, that's the main one. I wish I had breastfed longer, but, no worries. It happened. It was supposed to, whatever, right? But for people who are still in that dark night, who are like me and kind of weave in and out of it, you know the truth when you hear it. And it was funny, when I was like 13, I started really getting into Sylvia Browne, and I know I've heard a lot of things negatively about her, and I'm not sure where I stand on that. Her books helped me realize a certain side of the world or reality. And so whether or not she's a crock, I don't know. But she said something in one of her books years ago, and it was, the soul knows the truth when it hears it, and I held on to that. And whenever I heard something that I just knew, it sounded right. David Icke, people can say he sounds like a nut job left and right with the reptilians, and yeah, it sounds crazy, but there's a part of it that speaks to me. And and I say for anybody who's trying to find themselves out of that dark night, stick to it and trust your gut, trust your soul, trust your higher self, and, keep reminding yourself that you're not your ego. Your mom and dad gave you your ego, and your peers and everybody else in the world did. You are your higher self.
And that's a great point you made, Alyssa, especially about the ego. And that's where, when many of us have had that dark night of the soul, there's that awakening that you realize that you're just a grain of sand on the beach, but yet you need all of us, all of these grains of sand to have a beach. You're just a drop of water in the ocean, but you need all of us as drops of water in the ocean to have an ocean. So it really shows you the insignificance along with the significance of why we're here.
And Alyssa, it seemed like listening to you that, and I may be way off, but I can kind of relate, because it seems like the more awake you are, and the less easy it is to brainwash someone. Like if you're uncontrollable in as far as manipulation, which is my case, that one might tend to go through more dark light, because you're trying to tread both worlds for so long, and you're not easily put to sleep. And some people seem to be put to sleep earlier on and easier than others. And it sounds like your episodes, as you were explaining them, might just be because it seems like you're so strong, deep down, and your only time you tend to you would feel dark is when you don't believe in that strength, because you've said it yourself just now. You said believe in yourself, and
oh yeah,
it seems like you're such a strong force, and the more you believe in that and learn about it and own it, the less your dark episodes may be. That's what I found for myself, at least.
I appreciate you saying that. Actually, it helps. But I sometimes wonder if my holding on to my ego and to the 3D realm has to do with me holding on to my children, being so afraid of letting go of this reality because I need them, or they need me. And I sometimes wonder if that's what it is. And I just keep going back and forth and back and forth.
I interviewed George Kavasilis a few years ago, and he and I both have children, and I asked him about the whole 3D, 5D thing and about people getting left behind. And
right.
And one of the things I was concerned about, what if my daughter, or what if his children get left behind? He said, well, you know what? This is their life path. They came in here for whatever reasons they had to, and it's really, you can do all you can do, but they have to follow their own life path. So,
right.
You just wish, you hope and wish for the best, and that's pretty much all you can do. You don't want to put too much on your plate either, but I'm sure, with a mother that's awakened, they're going to be fine.
They are fine.
Definitely.
They are. They're some pretty intelligent kids, and my oldest is 10. My youngest is 10 months. So as young as they all are, they still they come out with some really off-the-wall kind of stuff that reminds me of when I was a kid. And it warms my heart. It definitely does.
Well, I'm impressed by you. You rock.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you're doing an amazing job. I am in awe, so keep it up. I mean, to be awake in this process with children blows my mind. I just have a guitar. I mean, you're amazing. You're my hero.
Aww.
It's scary. It is. It's scary, though. It's you want to kind of be brainwashed. There's a part of you that does. There's a part of you that's like, oh, I just wish I was like everybody else. But I never was, and it's never made sense. And, my husband has kind of started in his awakening process as well, and my brother-in-law, and we watched the news, and we're like, oh, man, that's bullshit. That's bullshit.
Yep.
This whole Boston bombing thing, and, I obviously feel for everybody, but I feel more for the children in Pakistan that are being blown up while they're, playing with the toy cars because, we're throwing drones out there. I feel more for, I live on the Gulf Coast, and I still won't put my feet in the water, after the oil spill and the dispersants that they put in here. And I love seafood. Still won't eat the seafood from out here. That's what my mind goes to when I watch the news, and I do. Part of me wishes that I don't know, I've never been unawakened, I don't think. I always, from as far back as I can remember, I've always been that questioner.
Good
that
for you.
doesn't make sense. And
that's what I was referring to. I think you have. That leads for a really rough road at times, but you really can't do anything. You just have to sort of give in and get tough, I think. That's what, you know, and you're doing that. You're doing that. It's awesome.
And once you go down that rabbit hole, there is no going back. I mean, once you learn about Monsanto and chemtrails, you're not going to go back and start drinking fluoridated water and eating processed food and all this stuff, you know?
No.
It's a whole new ball game now.
Especially with kids. Yeah. You can do what you want with your own body, but you can't push that away with kids.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, my oldest son, he was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes almost 4 years ago. And when they told me, that was 2009, I was 7 months pregnant with my third child, and it just blew me out the water. You know, we have a lot of autoimmune disease that runs in the family, but I fed my kids decent enough, I thought. I didn't really know anything about GMOs and all of that. But that's what started before the Alex Jones thing. That's when I really started watching Alex Jones, and I was trying to find, you know, a way to reverse this. There has to be a way, because in my mind, if you're alive, you know, they can cure cancer. We know this. You know, conventional media will tell us that there has been people that have been cured of cancer. So why not type 1 diabetes, you know?
Mm-hmm. You know, I was just today talking to somebody who had type 1 diabetes, and he changed his diet to mostly vegan, except for an occasional fish, and he got rid of it. So look into that.
We
went
dead, completely raw vegan back in October, and he went from about 30 units of insulin per day to down to 3. And,
wow.
It was absolutely amazing. It was Dr. Gabriel Cousins, or Cousins, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Yeah, I found his book on Amazon, and I read it, and then I watched his documentary, and I was so inspired, and we did it, the whole family, well, not the whole family, just me and my husband, and he was 9 at the time, and he's such an amazing, tough, strong kid, because I can't even imagine how difficult it was for him to go to school, and he's sitting here eating, you know, raw Swiss chard and kale and walnuts, and everybody else has, like, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and Doritos, and but he did really, really great, and we did go back. We still eat organic food, and our family likes meat. We just do, and But we do organic and grass-fed and all that. But he's gone back up on his insulin, but he's definitely more stable.
I love
no
the
more
way
spikes,
both
no more
you-
300s when you wake up.
I love, Alyssa, the way both you and Greg, your children, how they've been your teachers. You know, I love that. I love hearing these stories.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
Yeah, we think we have to worry so much about them. They're the ones coming in to like teach us, shape up your dietary habits or whatever it happens to be.
You know, I'll tell you, if it wasn't for my daughter Brittany, in5d would not exist.
Yeah.
You know?
I love hearing this.
Yeah, it's true.
Alyssa, this has been so great. I hope you call in again. I hope you do. Yeah. And big hugs to all your children.
Indeed.
Okay.
Thank
you. Thank you.
Bless you.
Bye.
Bye. All right. So we have 570. Are you there? All right. Can you turn your mic up, the volume up a bit? It's really hard to hear.
Yes.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
There you are.
Hi, what's your name?
Benny.
Hi, Benny.
Benny.
Welcome to in5d Radio.
Yeah. Hold on a second. Let me put the software.
Yeah, we probably caught you off guard. Holding on for a while. Sorry about that.
I hear the echo going on. Yep.
Hey, Greg. I've been watching you since last year. I've been watching your I've been logging into the internet on a daily basis.
Uh-huh.
So you have been one of the major influence in my awakening.
Thank you, Benny. I appreciate that. Thank you.
But, you know, it all started, the reason I decided to call is because about 10 minutes ago, the previous person that you were interviewing, he said that he started waking up in 2009, and that's when I started waking up myself. So I thought, no, man, I got to call him too.
Yeah. Synchronicity. Yeah. Yeah. 2009 was a huge year for the awakening.
I go to sleep, and in the middle of the night, I'm having a dream that I'm going through a door. I open the door, and there is a light bulb, and the light is on. And then after that, I started having a lot of weird dreams. Waking up in the middle of the night for no reason, just waking up, and I couldn't sleep at all. And I couldn't explain what is going on. But then once I started logging into your website, David Icke, Mike Desarian, Alex Maxwell, Santos Bonacci. If you don't change, you'll never change.
Yeah. Once you go down, like I just told Alyssa on the last phone call, once you go down that rabbit hole, boy, there is no coming back.
Right. And one thing that I noticed also is the synchronicity about the 1111. Every time I do something or I start thinking about from inside that it has to do with my awakening, and I just happen to look at my clock and I see 1111, 1010. I said, well, wait a minute, this is for real.
Yeah.
And it's
people will have, and it can be 1010, it could be 333, it could be 1234, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4. And I noticed they were talking about that in the chat room, and it's all really subjective how you interpret it. There's so many different interpretations, but the bottom line is it's part of your awakening. There's something going on. There's some kind of kicking in of the genetic codes or whatever. Something is happening.
I just started watching a program. I don't know if you ever heard of Mark Passio.
Mark who?
Mark Passio.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, he was one of the presenters at the Free Your Mind conference too.
Okay.
Oh, this past weekend, yeah.
Yeah, and he's done a lot of study from David Icke, Mike Desarian, and Alex Maxwell himself. He has like 4 videos that, he explained a lot of stuff in detail, especially when it comes to the all the symbols that you see, the symbols that all the business, the corporations are using, and it explains how, it's all related in, all the relation that it has to do with everything that is going on, on how they they brainwash you.
Oh yeah, they co-opted a lot of things, like the sun symbol. And when you're saying Alex Maxwell, I know you mean Jordan Maxwell, but yeah, these people have co-opted like the sun symbol. You see that on everything, like the Shell oil symbol. It's not really a shell; it's the sun rising, and you have all the associations of the sun being the son of God,
right.
Jesus or whatever. And they're co-opting that. Even the Nazi swastika is a sun symbol, and it's really not an evil symbol, but it's what people envision it to be as evil. So it really isn't that.
Well, yeah, it's like ley lines. It's like the power of the earth, power of the sun. It's all just being. It's like fire. We can use fire to cook our food, or we can use fire to burn down the house.
Yeah.
And it's just right now they're burning down the house and everything.
Yeah.
But for all the people that are listening to it, if they can log in, the website is What on Earth is Happening by Mark Passio, and he has 4 videos, and he goes into detail about everything that is actually going on.
I've been to that website, yeah.
What on Earth is Happening?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I have. I didn't know that was his website.
Yeah, that's his website.
Mm-hmm.
And
I've been there.
He goes into detail. There's another thing that I also wanted to mention. I was watching your, I think it was on the 21st.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when I think you were showing the, let's see, hypnosis speak directly to the creator?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I started watching that, and it was very interesting, but I got a little bit discouraged when the so-called creator started talking about his son.
Uh-huh.
That's when that's when I lost it. I said, wait a minute,
Well, I agree with you. There's certain things, and there's some things that I do post on in5d that I don't agree with 100% of the time, but other people will, and I use my own discernment, and I'll take the best things that come out of it and apply that to my own awakening. And the other stuff, well, that's for other people to judge,
Yeah, because I'm listening. I'm reading the interview for. I think it was 2 days, lasted for 2 days, but I think it was on the first day, the part 1, when he started talking about his son, and I said, but wait a minute, is this guy talking about Jesus is his son? That's when I said, I think this guy's going a little bit, this sounds, it put me down completely.
Well, if you read the whole article, I think it was after the first article where I made a comment at the end, and if I was the person that was doing the interview, I would have said, okay, well, if you're talking to Jesus, ask him what his real name was, because the letter J wasn't invented until the 1500s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was skeptical also.
And then after that, I'm reading a book about the I Ching, and there is a page in this book that says, let me read it to you. It says, believe nothing, no matter where you read it or who said it, even if I have said it, unless it rings true for you. And that's Gautama Buddha.
Well, Mahatma Gandhi said, even if you're the minority of one, the truth is still the truth. So essentially just go inside and listen to yourself. And I completely agree with that quote that you read. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but for the listeners, if they want to go into more details that what on earth is happening, that is very, very interesting.
And I see Heidi just posted a link on the chat room for that.
Yeah?
Thanks, Heidi.
Yeah, we've got some well-researched, well-read listeners here.
We have awesome listeners.
Websites, I know, it's crazy intense, awesome. You guys are doing your homework. We love it.
Well, thanks for taking my call.
Thank you, Benny. Thanks for calling in. And call in again. Definitely. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, great.
All right, we're going to move on to our next caller, and I recognize this number. It's Jordan. 850 number. So, Jordan, you are live on the air.
Hey, how's it going, Greg?
Good. How you doing, Jordan?
Hi, Jordan.
I'm doing well. Hey, Heidi, how are you doing?
Good, thank you.
Hey. Well, the good news is I got a new phone, so today, and it's nice weather out, so I don't have to worry about shivering.
It sounds like a great connection, too.
Well, right, you were pacing in the cold last time, right?
Yes, I was, and then the first time, and then the second time I was in a car, but I had to pace when I talk. I don't know why. It's weird.
Mm-hmm. So tell us about, have you gone through the dark night of the soul, and what have you learned?
I believe I have. Like one of the previous callers, I think I've just been in and out of it, like especially in the past few years. But really, recently, I think I'm slowly coming out of it because, 2 years ago when I lived in Tallahassee, it was when I started researching spirituality and metaphysics and all that, and then I moved to Fort Walton Beach the very next year. And when I moved to Fort Walton, I kind of just I sort of lost, I wouldn't say lost, but I just, I kind of went down. I got a job and stuff, and everything seemed to be going well, but then I kind of just lost touch with my spirituality a bit. I wasn't really focusing on meditating or anything for an entire year. And I was kind of it's hard to explain really. I just kind of fell out of touch with, everything that I believed in. And and then I told you I just moved to Colorado this year. And just the past few weeks I've been just becoming more and more in touch with my spirituality, and I feel much better about myself now. I'm much more optimistic. Even my mom has told me, I look a lot better. I started meditating just about every single day, and I'm just feeling more and more in tune, and every day I'm no longer I'm not so cynical about anything anymore. So. So I think I'm just coming out of it, and every day, slowly but surely, I'm really, really getting into higher vibrations.
Well, it's like I was
too much respect.
No.
Go ahead.
No. It was like I was telling Alyssa. The humbling part of your awakening is where you see the significance and the insignificance of your role on this planet. And I think the analogy I used was like the grain of sand on the beach, where without all of the grains of sand, there is no beach. So you're playing a huge role, but we're also at the same time insignificant, and that's where the whole ego breaks down, and you start to overcome ego, and that really is a huge part of the dark night of the soul.
Yeah, definitely. And I totally forgot what I was just about to say.
I feel like the insignificant portion felt I never had that feeling of insignificant. Maybe I still have that to look forward to. But but yay. More I translate the insignificant part as that we are all one. I don't feel I never have ever that word insignificant has never crossed my mind. More that we are all significant and we are all one. I have to think about that insignificant portion. I've never ever felt that.
Well, it's all part of the perspective. It's not actually being insignificant. If you're a grain of sand on the beach, there's trillions of grains of sand. So you kind of that's the whole, to me at least, that's the whole removal of the ego.
Yeah, the ego loss, definitely. I ditched that. Yeah,
and then that's where the insignificant part comes.
Oh, okay.
To me.
Okay, yeah, that was a big deal. Yeah, you're stripping. I mean, the accident was mine, and then stripping away the ego, and everything falls away, and then you're left with, in my case, guitar and a voice, and you're in a subway, and you're bare, and then all of a sudden that's all that matters. And it's so powerful. It's so powerful when you strip it all away, and that's all you need. That's all you need. It's really awesome, actually. I have been thinking about the title, The Dark Night of the Soul. I keep wanting to, the dark/light night of the soul, because it seems to be two-sided. It seems to be such a powerful experience for everyone, so perhaps not completely dark. It feels dark, but it comes out light.
Yeah.
So Jordan, you feel like the meditation has helped you to regain balance and raise your vibrations and all that?
That was one thing. At first, I had to force myself to do it, and because I was too lazy to just sit down and not do anything. But also, what really helped significantly was, when I learned about the law of attraction, which was last year, which I have you to thank for that, because you mentioned The Secret in a lot of your videos. I didn't know I'd never heard of it, and then I watched it with my mom, and I became very fascinated with it, and then I went to get the DVD because I watched it on Netflix at first. So, and then recently I read the book, and I'm reading the sequel to that now, and, I'm just realizing that, it's all about changing your perception of life, or your perspective, and also, like, it comes down to controlling your emotions, or learning how to control your emotions. Which, I didn't know was really possible. I believe that we're all kind of brought up to believe that our emotions just aren't very controllable. They just kind of come and go. But, if you could actually learn to control them. And, when you have a positive perspective of things, you can, create more positive things in your life. And that's what I took from it. So, that was a huge help as well. And then, I started meditating, and that's just been helping me to focus a lot better and, visualize. And just, I've just been a lot happier. So I'm very, very excited.
One thing that I find that's really helped me a lot, too, is to appreciate just the little things, everything in my life. What I do in the morning, I'll take a walk. I'll take a long walk, and there's a seawall where I stop. And at that point, that's my reminder. And I sit there, and I thank the Creator. I thank the universe, my spirit guides and guardian angels, my friends and family on both sides of the veil, our galactic neighbors and friends, and I thank Mother Earth. And I go through each one and tell them specifically what I'm grateful for, because just to be here on this planet, to be part of this awakening, and to be involved in everything that's going on is such a blessing, and I don't want to take anything for granted.
And I so agree with that. I also believe that this phrase we have on this planet of the little things is completely ass backwards. We've been taught that those are the little things. It's not. Wall Street is the little thing. Those are the big things.
Mm-hmm.
And so for us to keep thinking, a dog running up to you and giving you a wet kiss, or the seawall, are the little things, I think is a misnomer, and that we have to begin to really embrace those things that we've been brainwashed to think are little things, because they're not. They're the big things. That's energy. Yeah. That's what sets your day. That's what moves your in5d website. That's what moves all the people who read and listen and call in, and that's the big thing. That's the important part. When songs are written, it's not an outside-in thing. It's an inside-out. That's the little thing, perhaps, but it's the big thing. It's setting your tone.
And it doesn't. And we were talking about this last week, Heidi, after the show. Everybody's doing their part, and the analogy that we used is it's kind of like a symphony. Everyone's playing their own instrument, and while you're playing the solo instrument together, it's this beautiful melody that comes out, and everybody's doing their part. So, and what I was telling Heidi last week after the show, people can, for example, let's say that somebody has a YouTube channel, and they put out a video, and the video only gets 20 views. Maybe out of those 20 views, one of those people was perhaps suicidal, and it changed their life. And that person goes on and tells 10 people, and those 10 people tell another 10 people, and so on and so forth. It creates this snowball effect where just something where you might think is something insignificant is huge, and nobody's playing a bigger role than anyone else.
Yeah, the checks and balances and the scale that we've been using is a little out of whack, but it's going to be coming back into alignment, and this is shows and you guys calling in with your truth is such a big part of realigning our priorities, in my opinion. Because I just think it's fabulous what you all are sharing with everyone. It helps so many people. Awesome.
Oh, sorry. Anyway, yeah, yeah. I do. I totally agree with everything you just said, and yeah, and I understand, Heidi. I agree with I couldn't really understand the insignificant phrase, but at the same time I understand it from Greg, your point of view, where you said, yeah, you're just like one grain of sand, but you still make up a whole
beach. Yeah.
Yeah, beach. Thank you. God, I don't know what's going on. I'm about to be 21, and I'm already losing my memory when I talk.
No, I heard. I think that's good. I was listening to Jim Self, and he said in this ascension process that part of what's happening is we're losing our memory of all the things that have been brainwashed. So no worries, it's a good sign.
Yeah, that's what I was assuming, or more hoping.
Hoping.
Yeah, I'm oh yeah, I hope this is part of the ascension process. So.
It's part of clearing the clutter too. Once you clear the clutter, I mean, the only thing that's left is positive thoughts and prophetic dreams.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my dreams are very, very vivid recently and much easier to remember. So, yeah, and sometimes they're just really flat out bizarre, and I just don't know how to describe them in words. So, but yeah, in fact, I remember I told you back in 2011 was when I first started researching metaphysics, and yeah, one of the first dreams I actually had was something about extraterrestrials landing, and the typical people there, and we're all greeting them and stuff. So it was a really, really cool dream. But,
wow.
Yeah. That was shortly after I watched Close Encounters of the Third Kind. So it was very much like that. So I love that movie. But yeah, so yeah, everything's going great ever since I moved here in Colorado, which I think that's also another huge part of why things have been going much better for me now, because I'm around Boulder, and Boulder's pretty notorious for lots of people into metaphysics. And
I feel like you might be on a ley line there or something, because some kind of energetic vortex or something, because it seems like such a big shift for you, which is awesome.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah, everything's going much better for me, and I know that things are only going to get better from here on out. So I'm really excited. I know great change is coming.
Yeah, we'll look forward to updates. It'll be so cool to hear. Episode 3.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Thank you so much for calling in.
Oh, no problem. I enjoy talking with you.
All right, Jordan. Thanks again. And
no problem. I'll
definitely,
talk to you guys later.
Yeah, you certainly will. Call in anytime. You know that.
On the new phone and all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah, I get a new phone. The BlackBerry, so.
It sounds great. Yeah. All right. Take care now.
Bye.
Thanks. You too.
Okay, so we have 780.
Oh, 336.
Oh, no, sorry about that.
That's okay.
No, it's okay. We can do 336. I'm sorry, I read the numbers backwards. 336.
Yeah.
780.
You're next up, though.
You're next. Sorry about that. Was my bad.
Yeah.
Hi there.
Hi.
Well,
what's your name?
My name is Karen.
Hi, Karen.
Karen.
Octarine in the chat room.
Okay.
Well, welcome to in5d Radio.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's the second time I've been here. I like your show a lot.
Yeah.
I think I came in kind of awake, but didn't really realize it.
Mm-hmm.
And as I've been sitting here listening and trying to figure out exactly what it was I really wanted to talk about, because there's so much,
I started thinking about how I've gone in and out, much like everybody else, except I've gone in and out over the past 60 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I suddenly realized that I have a 2009 marker as well. But It wasn't an awakening marker.
Uh-huh.
It was a crystalline shift marker for me.
Mm-hmm. Explain that to us.
That was when I went from indigo to crystalline.
And what was the divining moment?
There wasn't the divining moment was when I read about the octarine shift on the internet. And it sounds very much like, power of suggestion kind of thing, but I didn't read about this until after I had already gone through the experiences.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't say that it was power of suggestion. I mean,
okay.
Truly I can't.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was just sitting there going, oh my, it's like, I remember when I was first diagnosed as being ADD, and I read Lynn Weiss's book, Attention Deficit Disorder in Adults, and the book was like, somebody had followed me around and written the book about me. I could not read more than 3 or 4 pages at a time because it was so deeply personal.
Uh-huh.
And when I read this octarine shift info, it was very similar to that.
Well, I wrote an article on in5d.com called Attention Deficit Disorder and Ascension, where a lot of people know that before I became a webmaster, I was a child and family therapist, and I kind of took a more holistic metaphysical approach to it. So that this article was written in that kind of style, which gives you more of a metaphysical, analysis of what's going on in regard to ADD, ADHD, and what's going on in the world right now.
Yeah, truly.
Yeah.
Well, when I was first diagnosed, of course, I was 37, and I was not able at that time to put those pieces together. I do now realize that it's absolutely a gift, and it is part of the ascension process.
Yeah, yeah.
It is part of the new human.
The thing that I learned the most, because I have, or had, past tense, ADD, and had it ever since I was a child, on the back of every report card, it would say, fails to pay attention.
Right.
But what I found out was that the more I got more spiritually involved and found myself and removed and eliminated all this clutter from my brain, the more my head cleared up, and now the ADD is non-existent.
Yes, I totally agree with that, because I've basically done the same thing. I haven't had a job in 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
yeah,
9
good
years.
for you.
Well, it's not
Congratulations.
by choice.
I know. Okay.
It's not by choice. It's because I can't find anybody that wants to take me on. I'm not, I don't have, anyway, it's a long story. I don't have a degree. I don't have a lot of, quote-unquote skills, and, I played too hard when I was younger, so now my body's shot, and I can't, stand up and run a cash register at Walmart. Not that I would want to, but, anyway. The spiritual aspects, though, I looking back, I started, I was into UFOs before UFOs, what's his name? The book that came out in 71.
Eric Von Daniken.
Yes.
Eric Von Daniken, yeah.
That was one of the first books.
Chariots of the Gods.
Chariots of the Gods,
yeah.
That
yep.
I read it when it came out, I was like, yeah, I get this. This is just so I've sort of been on this track for the whole time. My whole lifetime. Went through Christianity, went out of Christianity, I'll say a devout religious belief system. And I think the dark part was when I got to a point to where I just, after getting into prophecy and studying Bible prophecy in extreme depth for about 6 years in the very early 90s, that's what actually led me straight into quote-unquote New Age stuff, the woo-woo world, full force. Because I realized that that everything's part of the whole. And at that point, I also became more separate. And in becoming separate is when we're in our dark place, I think, or when things become dark, when we just really, 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 truly feel like, we're separate. Of course, with this type of spirituality or indigo-ness or whatever tag you want to put on it, woo-woo type tag you want to put on it, there also comes a separateness. I mean, we don't fit in the mainstream society, now do we?
Nope.
I never have fit since I was as long as I can remember.
Well, a lot of us are nonconformists because we don't like the restrictions that society puts on us, and that, the only laws that there should be are universal laws where you're not hurting yourself or others.
True. Very true. So it's taken me a while to, did The Secret. The Secret did not speak to me. It was too,
no?
No. It was made for consumers. It was made for capitalists.
I'll tell you, if it wasn't for The Secret, in5d wouldn't exist. It meant everything to me. Yeah.
I totally understand that it has served a tremendous purpose, and I honor it for doing that, and honor all the people that participated and wrote it and worked on it and all that good stuff. Personally, it was a big turnoff to me, but even at that point, even when I saw it when it first came out, I recognized its value to others. But it has done a tremendous service, and I'm grateful for it being there because it has changed a lot of lives, a lot of minds, and opened up a lot of minds. But
see, I agree with where you're going on this because, you're using your own discernment, and not everyone's discernment is going to be the same.
That's true. That's very true. So,
and I can appreciate and respect that, definitely.
So my whole thing, though, was I think my darkness, my recent, like in the last decade, darkness was coming out of not feeling connected, a place where I did not feel connected to Source. Some people would say, "Oh, you just don't know. You just don't realize that you're a child of God." And some people don't like using those terms, but those words, whatever Source, Creator, that you're connected right to the entirety of everything. In 2009, I moved just from one neighborhood to the next. I moved from a middle-class university neighborhood over to a couple streets over to a multicultural, low-income neighborhood, and the house is bigger, better, 3 lots instead of 1, nicer for me personally. Excuse me. And that's when my shift happened. But like I said, it wasn't until I ran across this octarine info on the web that I really began to understand what that meant and going into crystal. One of the most amazing experiences I've ever had was when I actually experienced 5D. Actually, my first experience was watching someone else shift into 5D.
Wait. Okay, hold up. I think you should write an article about this because I think a lot of people would totally dig it, and I'll post it on in5d. But sure, share it with us right now. But if you would, definitely put this into an article. This would be an amazing article.
I wouldn't know where to begin, I don't think. But anyway, I'll think about it.
Thank you. Great.
Some specifics on exactly what you would like for me to write on. But
okay.
Anyway, I'm sitting in class with a gentleman the next town over. Had these classes every other week for several years, and when I could afford to attend them, I did for about 1.5 years or 2 years. And we worked on working with our body's energy and perceiving the energy fields around people and picking up where they had blocked energy and whether it related to their father or mother's side and things like that. Mm-hmm. About 4 of us are sitting at this big conference table one night, and he just stopped and sat there and went, "Oh," and we all all just sat in silence and watched him. And I think I'm the only person, I've checked with everybody else that was in the room, and I think I'm the only person that actually saw what I saw.
Uh-huh.
We had enough energy that we attracted aliens. You know, we could sense aliens, ships above us, and outside in the parking lot, outside the windows, and even they would come into the rooms, and I had them come in and talk to me. I don't know what he said, but I had one night that just bugged the heck out of me, wanted me to turn my chair around and pay him to my total attention rather than
really.
Yeah. Huh. So that was really weird. I got some kind of download. I don't know what it was. I never knew. I never could understand, but I knew he was talking to me. But anyway, so we're sitting there at this table, and this guy just, you know, goes in. He just stops, and I watched him. He was 72, I think, at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not a very wrinkled person anyway, but the fine wrinkles that he did have diminished even more so, to where his face almost smoothed out completely.
Oh my God, I've heard stories about this. Continue.
He has a rather rosy complexion, a very fair and rosy complexion, and his skin tone changed from its normal rosy color to more beigey tones like mine.
Mm-hmm.
His whole, you know how in Star Trek, when they get in the transporter, they sort of fade?
Yeah.
It kind of began to fade. His everything about him softened and sort of thinned out a little bit. One night, we were, I don't know, it was several months later, I think. I really can't remember now, but a while later, we were sitting in the same room, same class, same group of people, and I think we used to say, we're going to pick on you now. You know, it's like we would take turns standing up, and everybody would look at the person standing up, and we would focus on them and where we saw blockages and stuff. And that's how we did our little practice sessions and everything. So I had been the guinea pig, and they'd been doing some work trying to release some of the blockages in my body and different things, and evidently there was some pretty intense emotional blockage that they worked on that night, and he said, oh, you need to sit down right now.
Mm-hmm.
He's very, very sensitive at picking up energies. You just need to sit down right now. So I sat down, and as I sat down, I saw the room do, and my own hands, as I looked down at them, do what I had seen him do weeks before. The room became rather foggy and soft, and almost like there was a mist, a cloudy mist in the whole room, but that's not exactly what it was. Or a little smoky, or, you know, something like that. That's about, I guess, the best explanation I can get to. And I felt like the room was kind of like not there, but it was. I mean, it was very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting. And I've caught myself sometimes either when I'm sitting quietly, sometimes when I'm meditating, sometimes when I'm almost asleep. I've caught myself drifting, not astral projecting.
Right.
But drifting. Or other things happen to my body. Like one day I was teaching a Reiki class a couple of years ago, and I had two of the girls in my, I only had two people in that class, and it was Reiki 1 class of all things. And I had my table out, and we'd been doing practice, and I said, okay, you know, you guys can practice on me. And I laid down. One was at the head, and one was at the feet. And I suddenly began to feel as if I was going to spin off the table. Horizontally spin off the table. I mean,
wow.
I knew that I wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that I was solid. I knew I wasn't going anywhere, but my body felt like it was going to spin off like one of those little toys that you pull the string and the little thing, you know, flies off and spin. Like I was just going to spin off like a top or something. That's the kind of feeling that I've gotten, like drifting off. You know, not, like I said, not astral projection, but it's like just moving from it doesn't feel like a different reality, but moving in a way that we don't normally move.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? I can really relate to what you're saying, and I've talked to several people about this. There was one time in specific, I was at a grocery store, and it just felt like everybody was just non-existent almost, as if they were almost like zombies. And I remember going around the corner, and I made eye contact with this one woman, and she kind of looked at me like I looked at her, like, can you believe this stuff? Almost like we're having this telepathic conversation. Can you believe these people in here? And we just kind of smiled and walked on, but it just felt like I was in a completely different world, even though it was almost like 3D and 5D meshing together.
Yeah, yeah. Have you ever been in a restaurant where like nobody waits on you for they wait on the table next to you, beside you, behind you, but they don't wait on you?
as if you're non-existent. Yeah.
That's what
you're invisible. Yeah.
My teacher in Winston-Salem, he says that's the 5D. They cannot see you. They literally cannot see you.
Yeah. Fascinating. It really is. It's good.
Go ahead. We're there.
Yeah, exactly. It's good to know that, and thank you for bringing that up, because I'm sure there's a lot of people that are going to be listening or are listening to this show that have been there and have felt exactly what you just described, what we both described.
Yeah, I've been looking for people that have had similar experiences. The actual shift from indigo to crystalline, as I understand it, is happening because crystalline children that are coming in are finding themselves not in situations where they feel terribly supported, so they're choosing to leave. And I don't know if you've noticed, but to me it seems like a lot of children of all ages, from teenagers down, are leaving for whatever reason, whether it's cancer or an accident or whatever, brings about the exit, they're leaving. And so to fill the space, evidently, I'm not an expert on this, and I have not found anybody to talk to about this, because I've found nobody that's experienced what I've experienced. And I've been looking for someone for 2 years.
I'll tell you what, Karen, and I've mentioned this several times on in5d radio. On in5d.com, there's a live chat at the bottom of every page, and people are chatting there 24/7, 365 days a year. And you can go there, and I've used this example. You can go there at 3 a.m. no matter what time zone you're in, and people are going to be chatting there. So you're never alone. So if you ever need someone to talk to, just go to in5d.com, go to the bottom of the page, and just check out the live chat. Jump right in. You can get a free membership. It costs nothing to sign up and become a member there, and you always have someone to talk to. You're never alone.
Great. I will check that out. I think the only other thing that I really, really want to say is that if people feel like they're having a hard time, there's two things I truly believe that they should do. One is to find somebody to talk to. A coach. The coach may not be a spiritual person. They may not be on the same spiritual vibration that you're on, but just a coach that can help guide you through just a daily thought process of, writing 3 pages a day, like the Artist Way talks about, or setting goals, or whatever it is you need to work on. And the other thing is chill, relax, don't push it. I know so many people that are, I used to have a Monday night meetup group that met at my house. It wasn't my group, but it met at my house. And after that group left, moved to another location, the majority of the group actually stayed at my house because they wanted to have a spiritual group. And I remember one of the guys in the spiritual group saying, I just want to ascend. I just want to ascend. And he was frantically grabbing at straws. He's read somewhere that emeralds would help with something or other, and he went out and spent $1,500 on, emerald earrings and an emerald necklace and blah, was doing this class and that class with whatever guru he could find, that was in his community or his culture or whatever. And I see a lot of people what I call grasping at straws. They're latching on to what, and I don't think you really have to do that. What you need to do most is take a deep breath and relax and allow and let everything be just as it is. Be in the moment. Go read some Ram Dass or some Tao or something. Just be. Just be. And
live in the now. Yes, definitely.
I think you will find that your body will guide you and lead you to exactly what you need to be doing. If it's time for you to make a dietary change to become vegan, eat whole foods, whatever that is, your body will tell you. You don't have to make a conscious effort to do it. Your body will lead you there. Because you'll find that that Church's Fried Chicken just doesn't do what it did last year as far as, satisfying that hunger. But an apple does. It's weird. It's so weird. But just be in the moment.
And we're always being guided in the right direction, too. We're always being pointed where we need to go. Say, for example, somebody, and I've done this a couple of years ago, I stopped at Burger King, and I bought 2 Whopper Juniors because I didn't feel like cooking, and I got home, and I ate them, and I got sick afterwards. My body essentially rejected it. So it's my body telling me this is not good, and, I shouldn't have done that to begin with, but we're always being guided in that right direction. So listen to your body, listen to your discernment, and you'll be exactly where you need to be. Don't focus on 5D being here tomorrow. It could be here 5 years, could be here 10 years from now. Who knows? But it's already working. It's already in the process. So live in the now, work on your vibration, and everything will work out.
Yeah, that just reminded me of one other thing. I don't know if you've listened to anything that Dream Below has been talking about lately, but he, as well as several other people, are now saying that everybody, every man, woman, child, every human on the planet is going to make the shift. Whether they're ready or not, they're going to make the shift, that nobody's going to be left behind.
Good. Yeah, that's my biggest concern, because there's so many people that are still asleep, and, you don't want to see anyone get left behind.
Well, in truth, none of us know what's going to happen until it happens.
Yep.
None of us know if what we're talking about right now is the truth or not. We can only see from our own perspective. We can only follow or believe what resonates with us at the moment. And if we think about our lives, we can see through our life how our thoughts, how our beliefs have changed over the years. So whatever you believe today may indeed change tomorrow or next week or 5 years from now. So we don't know until it's all over with. Just live in the moment and follow your heart.
Yep, and enjoy the ride. That's what I tell people. Just enjoy the ride. It's been a blast so far. Appreciate all the opportunities, whether they're positive or negative, because those negative opportunities are really a blessing in disguise. They're leading you to exactly where you need to be. And that's part of the whole dark night of the soul. So, Karen, I'd like to thank you for calling in. We have another caller waiting on queue here. But definitely call back again. And thank you for being...
Thanks, Karen, so much for calling in.
Thanks for being part of the in5d family.
Well, thank you for being there.
All right.
We'll talk to you again soon.
And check out in5d chat, okay?
I sure will. Thank you very much.
All righty. You're welcome, Karen.
Karen.
Okay,
bye.
Okay, so we have 780, take 2. How are you?
Yeah, thanks for waiting.
Hey, pretty good. Hey, very welcome.
Hi, what's your name? What's your name?
It's Jay calling from Canada.
Hi, Jay from Canada. Sorry again about clicking you on and clicking you off. You've been very patient. What's on your mind tonight? Do you have a dark night story?
Yes, I do.
Cool.
2012, I was talking to a lot of people. This was dark night. So I know dark night of the soul for a lot of people. And for me personally, I didn't realize it was going to be like that. Early in January, I had an astrological reading. It said you're going to go through some changes this year. I thought, well, okay, these are going to be good, and maybe I could handle them. So basically, I think it was in January, end of January. I told my boss that I had to go for get my tooth extracted, and he says which day, and I said this day. So I go to this day, and he decides to let me go on the day I was getting my tooth extracted. So I had to rush, and I couldn't get it done because of expenses and things like that. And so I had this tooth, how would you say it, haunting me for a couple months until I got another job. And but the job that I got, my second job, was basically an opening. It was really about I had a boss that was very bullying on me, and compared to other workers there. And I saw a pattern show up, and it was actually because of how I was treated with my mother. And I didn't see it until basically at then October, when he did something drastic. He blew up and broke the TV monitor stand and flew away. After that, basically he just got really, really mad, and I had to take some courage to write about this to the person higher up. And so basically they found there was no evidence that this happened. He didn't do anything wrong. But what happened is it was about being punched in the stomach, and it was about like childhood experiences coming up. And it took me a while to get out of that. It took me about at least a month or so, doing lots of meditation and just looking something I had to confront. Because in March I said I'm going to write my letter to my mother about this, just how I feel. And for me, I'd rather do it face to face. So basically in November I was doing yoga and things like that, and I was doing one move where it's lifting up your stomach. Basically, that's where your seat of your power is, and help me get that power back again. And so I got another job shortly after that, and this other job was basically the same thing, reminding me that the person there was reminding me like how my mother was. And so I said I really have to confront this face to face. So they let me go in early December, and I had the opportunity at that time to go see my mother in late December. And a week before I went to see my mother, I got a job with I'm currently right now, which is a great company, a very happy company, and very more peaceful. And I did confront my mother. I used the word confront because it's like eye to eye, face to face. Basically on December 27th of 2012, and I just talked to how I felt. It didn't matter what the outcome was, just to how I felt. And it got a lot of things off my chest, basically, and I started communicating again, because I haven't talked to my mother in a long, long time, and just because I just felt I had to do it on my own this time. And yeah, it's been very, very wonderful, actually, after that. So that was my dark, 3 job losses in 1 year. And now it's going pretty good right now. Go ahead.
And getting the courage up to speak with your family, too, so that's cool.
Yeah, doing it face-to-face.
Yeah,
I really, and I did, yeah, and that was my dark night of soul. I really didn't have, and after that, actually, I forgave my teacher in a past life, and that was really interesting. And that was actually this year, too, so it has some remnants about that. So I think there's always stuff coming up for us. It's making that choice, like I said, the red pill or the blue pill, like in the movie The Matrix, whether you choose to, be happy or how to say, pursue happiness, or just be still mad and angry. And it's a real...
Do you feel differently now after that roller coaster of a year than you did before, and how?
Yes, I do. Totally. It made a difference. It made a difference in how I felt towards my mother. Yeah.
So what would you recommend to people listening right now for advice on how to get over the whole dark night of the soul?
It's a process for people. People have stories. A lot of people have stories. I have a story. You have a story. Everyone has a story. And if you see or feel the common repetitiveness in those stories, that's the time when you take a look and see, where did it really come from? Did it come from our parents?
Mm-hmm.
Did it come from siblings? Did it come from ourselves? Because usually it comes from our some family constellation that we're either we're born into, or even just growing up. Those things, and actually to make peace with it and start to make peace with it and move on. Because there's so much out there for everybody right now. There's a lot of opportunity right now with the energy right now, and if it's still, if you haven't let go of it, it still comes again. That means you still haven't let go of it. That's the thing, and that's what happened with my last job that I lost. I thought I was going to let it go, but it was still haunting me, and I said I got to move on. So that's
well, it really is a blessing in so many ways. I know a lot of people have gone through the dark night of the soul, and we've already talked to several people who have gone through job changes and everything, and I think the universe is really pointing us in a direction of where we need to go. But yet at the time, it really can be devastating, and you feel like the universe is kicking you in the nads, so to speak. But in the end, it's really a blessing, and you end up finding out really what your true purpose is and what direction you need to be going.
Yes.
Yeah, it seems like a common thread in this dark night is everything being stripped away, and you're left there with not much.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Which is how we came in and how we go out. So maybe that's something
yeah.
like that.
It's like a movie I just watched just recently. The faith of it too, and is the movie Life of Pi. Someone told me about this movie actually.
Good movie.
And I watched the movie. It's a great movie actually. There's a lot of spiritual stuff in there that you get look deep into it. There's a lot of stuff there, and it's like at the end it's about letting go. I think you feel that's part of our lives nowadays. It's just about letting go. And we're always reminded every year when we look at trees, and they don't keep their leaves the whole year, they let go. So it's a birth cycle.
So
great analogy.
Beautiful, really beautiful. Yeah, and it's the coming in with nothing, going out with nothing. Those are some of the happiest times of our lives. When we're not yet brainwashed, and then we're about to go back into non-physical, and it's interesting that we're getting enforced tastes of that along the way now, more often than perhaps 100 years ago or something, or 50 years ago. It's like we're getting a chance. This goes back to the ego thing too. If everything's been stripped away, you really don't have a whole lot to hang your ego on, and it's kind of got to be shelved for a while. So it's interesting that we're being really brought back to our truths in some of these dark night stories, and I don't think they're that dark. I think it's kind of the coolest time.
It's a blessing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
It's really simple, and there's a lot of joy to be found in these times.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes, there is.
Thank you so much. That was an awesome encountering of your
Dark Night of the Soul.
Yeah, I don't know if Heidi cut out or whatever, but I think that's what wanted to follow up on. Yeah, we appreciate you sharing your story and your advice to other people as well, and definitely don't be a stranger in calling back. All right, Jay?
Yeah, it's great topic. I look forward to your other topics when you have other shows, so thanks so much.
Oh, yeah, we got some great people lined up down the road, and these are the kind of shows that I really enjoy instead of the big-name guests. I really love just talking to everybody and finding out, what's going on in this world, because, you can bring on big-name guests, and a lot of them will tell you a lot of the same stuff that you've already heard before, but these are great stories that we get from real people who are out there experiencing everything else that we're all experiencing. So it gives us all a chance to really, bond with one another.
I agree. I love these shows the best. They're the most fun for me to listen to you all and your adventures that you're going through. It feels it makes everything feel quite like a family.
Yeah, you're not alone.
Yeah.
That's right.
I like
Not
that.
alone, yeah.
I like that a lot. It's awesome. I feel like we're at one big party. We're just audio party.
Okay, Jay. Well, thanks again for calling in, and definitely call in again down the road. Okay?
Thank you much.
All right.
Thanks,
Take care now.
Jay.
Bye.
Yep, bye-bye.
Well, this has been, I can't believe this 2 hours went by that quickly.
Really did. It really did. It was brilliant. The callers blow my mind. It was brilliant.
Yeah, they make the show, and we're so grateful that for everybody that calls in and chats in the chat room. I made sure that I got the chat room up before the show went on this time. So thanks to everybody in the chat room for joining us. Next week, once again, our special guest will be you, as we're going to be talking about introverts versus extroverts. So I don't know if anyone in the chat room has taken the Briggs-Myers personality test. I know most people have, but you can find that on in5d.com, and I'll leave a link on both the in5d Facebook page and below this video on YouTube, as well as my own personal in5d page. And what you do is you answer these series of questions, and it'll issue you these 4 letters afterwards. And the first letter will tell you whether you're an introvert or an extrovert. Now, what I found is that, well, actually what the society tells us is that 75% of the people that take that test are extroverted. But what I found is that the majority of people that are in spirituality are actually introverted, myself and Heidi included. You know, it took me forever to just to have the nerve to get up here and start this radio show because I'm an introvert. And Heidi, I know you were mentioning the same thing.
Yeah, I haven't taken that test. I have to do my homework, and I'll do it too. I just know what I've observed of myself, so I'll do the test.
I think the hardest part might be getting the introverts to call in, but, you know, as long as they know that, you know, both, as a matter of fact, and Heidi, I think we were talking about this before. We were talking, you know, about other radio shows like Kate of Gaia and Santos. A bunch of us are introverted, but yet here we are having our radio shows, and we're out there doing what we got to do.
And and this is not about Briggs-Meyer, and musicians, which is just crazy.
Yeah.
Like, we're all guitar players and singers, and it's pretty funny, huh?
Yeah.
But, yeah, the test should be fun. We'll have to post that. I'll post on my wall. You'll post on your wall and in5d, right? So you need the link? Okay, cool. Yeah, it'll be so cool to get and you know, if someone's shy about calling in, just make up a name. We won't tell. Just call in and share your story, and don't be shy. It'll be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a great show. And once again, you guys are the ones that make the show great. So we're just conduits of, you know, energy, sharing your stories with one another and the rest of the world. So we appreciate everything that you guys are doing when you call in and sharing your stories with us.
And you guys made for a very high vibrating show tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Kudos, props to in5d family.
Definitely. So definitely tune in next week. We'll be, like I said, we'll be talking about introverts and extroverts. So on behalf of my co-host, Heidi Cole, this is Greg Prescott from in5d.com. Namaste, everyone.
Namaste, guys.
But I see it all, and I'll take the fall. Yes, I'll see it all. Yeah, there are days that feel stout, things I believed in a crack, and then I begin, yeah. Though it feels a losing head, I don't fold my cards and take a stand. No, strength has a way of finding truth within. But I feel it all. And I'll take it all. Yes, I feel it. I'll intertwined.